Welcome to Ethereal, where we keep it real. This is going to be your July 17th news updates around Ethereum cryptocurrency. And boy, today was a juicy day as far as news and price action. So I don't want to waste any more of your time, and I want to jump into this first piece of story news. Perhaps the most important, one of the most important that we're looking for this week, and the legislation. U.S. House passes landmark GENUIS Stablecoin Act, and now this heads to the president's desk. I personally have maybe about a 1% chance that the president doesn't sign this, so it's as good as sold. And that also puts us in a really good predicament going into the other bills that are going to get voted on that are directly going to affect Ethereum and other cryptocurrency. So this gives us a really good lifeline. House approved first federal rules for USD-pegged stablecoins, expands CFTC role. ETH ticked higher on the news. That part's undeniable. And obviously towards the end of the video, we're going to get into some technical analysis like we always do and cover that. The sort of impact this has is also cannot be sold enough. I mean, regulatory green light could supercharge on-chain dollars. Most of those run on Ethereum, boosting usage, fees, and institutional comfort with ETH. This is all great news in exactly the sort of direction we wanted to see. And again, the price is reflecting that as we get into it towards the end of the video. Next piece of news here, we have Nasdaq files to let BlackRock's ETHA ETF earn staking yield. This is insane. I mean, you guys, you got to realize and internalize where we're at as far as this environment goes. This exchange submitted rule change so that the iShares Ethereum Trust can now stake part of its ETH and pass the reward through. If you don't realize what that's going to do, it's going to help yield turns passive ETH exposure into income product. Let me read that again. It's going to turn the yields into passive ETH exposure into income product. What that's going to do is it's going to attract yield-hungry institutions to lock up more ETH to get bigger yields, and it's going to tighten the float. And between you and I, that's the exact sort of thing we need as a retailer, everyday trader in this space. We need them to start locking up ETH away so that the float is smaller, the supply is smaller, and the price becomes much more sensitive and makes much stronger moves. Great news to look at today. Next piece of news here, we have record 726 million single day inflow into the US spot Ether ETFs. Farside data shows all-time high daily net subscriptions. Cumulative July inflows is greater than 2 billion. That's with a B. And ETH trades around 3.4K. Now, this is going to impact some amazing stuff. This will result in massive fund buying, removes coins from exchanges. So less coins in exchanges as funds are buying up these coins. It's going to reinforce the price floor, and it's going to set stage for volatility if shorts must cover. This is the short squeeze that we've been talking about in the sense of the crypto market, which isn't necessarily one-to-one, but the idea is the same. If you have a bunch of people shorting a ETH, and the price just continues to move upwards, they don't have a choice but to cover and close their short positions, which in turn will take price higher. That's a simple way to put it, and it's exactly the sort of signals we're getting as far as these Ethereum ETF news, and that only means better things as BlackRock, again in the previous story, is trying to do the same thing and go down that path. So we're gonna have to hang tight and see what the outcome of that is. But with the Stablecoin Act passing and the other bills rest of the week potentially passing, I don't see this not becoming more mainstream. Fourth piece of news, yes, today with such an action-packed day, we actually have 5 pieces of news for you. So fourth piece of news today, we have PayPal. Guys, PayPal launches on Arbitrum Layer 2. Obviously on this channel, we try to focus on Ethereum. So Arbitrum is on Layer 2 of Ethereum, which is why I decided to cover it. And this PayPal extending its dollar stablecoin from Ethereum mainnet to Arbitrum for cheaper, faster transactions and development tooling. This is really good stuff. Although it sounds kind of weird, it sounds like they're moving away. How could that be a good thing? They're still on a layer 2 that's based off Ethereum, and PayPal is a huge name as far as fintech space. So we have mainstream fintech bridging to ETH, scaling their stack, and this means more payment volume, user onboarding, and L2 activity that still settles on the Ethereum security. Well, we don't want to call it a security yet because now it's going to become a commodity, and that's what we wanted. But layer 2 activity, if it's on Ethereum, that's what it's settling on, that's only bullish news for Ethereum, okay? And the last piece of news I have here today, again, this channel is called Ethereal and we keep it real. I'm not just going to sit here and glaze Ethereum every single day. I'm going to make sure I cover things that are balanced. And this next piece of news might seem bearish. In fact, it is slightly bearish, and we need to cover that to make sure we're holistically knowledgeable on all sides. So this next piece of news says hacker launders 3,000 ETH through Tornado Cash amid rising crypto theft totals. Attacker has moved stolen ETH via Mixer. Comes as 2025 crypto hack losses has already exceeded the 2024 totals. This is not a good thing for Ethereum specifically, but because it was on Ethereum, that's why I'm covering it. Crypto hacks are not a new thing, and I'm sure you've heard it if you've watched this video. So the sort of impact this has is security and compliance overhang. This pushes regulators towards a tighter control over Ethereum applications to make sure the users are secure and funds are secure. And this could raise costs, but it also cleans up the ecosystem, aiding institutional adoption long term. So how did I just take such a potential bearish headline and turn it into a positive thing? Well, for the longevity of the coin and the longevity of the ecosystem, this is a good thing. We want less hackers, we want less volatility, and we want less chances of you losing your entire investment or your bankroll in Ethereum just because somebody smart decided to attack and hack you. And you know, that's an awful story. So the more stuff like that happens, we're going to have less users willing to kind of convert into the space, and more of this happening is going to push regulators to make sure it's as secure as possible. So longevity wise, it's a great piece of news. It's going to push us to becoming a more secure ETH environment, excuse me. But in the short run, it is definitely a bearish piece of news because this is going to scare people that are on the fence. I guess the short-term wise, these big institutions are still piling in. So who's actually getting scared here? But again, there's definitely is an argument to be made that hacking and losses of finances over hacks is definitely not a good taste in the mouth. So lastly, let's move into our technical analysis for the last part of the video. And as you can see here, I mean, it speaks for itself. It's been continuously moving upward, continuously respecting this 13-day EMA, and I kind of waited today to hold off on making this video because the price action was just so powerful. I kind of wanted to wait a little bit longer to see where it goes, and a little bit longer to see where it goes, and I kind of gave in at this point at 9 p.m. my time, almost 10 p.m. my time, make this video. And you guys can see we're above $3,600. We haven't seen these prices since, I mean, back in like early 2025, and that was only because you know, the election hype happened. If we go even farther than back, we haven't seen 3,600 levels all the way back in 2022 when that horrible time came around for finance in general, and we just nosedived downwards. Now we're regaining. Look at the strength of this price action. We are quickly and adamantly regaining this ground. So if you were on the fence about 14 days ago, 15 days ago, and you're looking at this price action, man, you're kind of kicking yourself. You're like, wow, even if I was a short-term trader, I just missed out on lots of opportunity. Where should I go now? What should we expect now? And in the short term, I will say this range that we just beat out of, the 78% retracement level, now we're just looking at this 100%. Now we're looking at this 41,110. And let me tell you that if we retake this 41,110 towards tomorrow and into this weekend, which I am looking at potentially seeing some cool off on the price action, especially tomorrow. This is only healthy. Going straight up is great, especially with the news of the Stablecoin Act passing. But if we do a little bit of breather, I am not worried whatsoever. Maybe if we drop back down to this range between 3,300 and potentially 3,200, that's really healthy, and I would not be worried about it. The only time I'd be worried about it is if we break some of these trend lines, potentially dropping way farther below 2,950, 3,000, which should be a strong support line now for us. This 3069 level, I'd look at that to start acting like some sort of support if we do need to come down and test those levels. If I extend this trend line, you can see that right around this 32 level is where our strongest support is. So I would not be surprised if going into the weekend we see a little bit of cooling off. But I am more so bullish of it going even farther up and testing some of those long ago, like earlier in the year, December highs, and seeing that happen is only exciting because once we do break above this level, we are now in price discovery, and price discovery has not been something we have been in for a very long time for Ethereum. So a lot of people are out there guessing a bunch of things like 5k ETH, 7k ETH, 10k ETH, and some of the craziest, and maybe not crazy, we'll say the most enthusiast predictions are putting us at 15 and 20k. I would like to seriously check our expectations here. I mean, even 9 and 10k, that's almost a 2.5x gains from all-time highs, true all-time highs. And right now, a lot of people, and I forget the percentage that I read, but over half the ETH holders, maybe even 60-70%, are now in the green at 3,600. That's a great thing, because if they didn't sell down here at 2,200, what do you think? Why would they sell 3,600, especially this price action that led them there? They're definitely going to hang around and see where it goes. Institutions are locking up ETH and putting it away. This is only going to put more upwards pressure. So when we do hit this price discovery phase, that's when I'm going to go. That's when I'm going to be the most excited, because we're not really sure where it's going to go. We have some educated guesses. My personal guess would be right around that 10k, a little bit lower. Maybe taking profits right around 9.9 or 9.8, which is where the psychological levels are for taking profits. But, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you're in this for the long term. Why not just hold through the 10k? You know, if it goes back down to 6, 7k, are you going to sell because your paper hands? I don't know. That's up to you. It depends on your fundamentals. I'm just here to give you the news, make sure you're up to date with everything that's happened, and make sure that you're in a position where you can make educated decisions about your financial decisions, right? And your longevity and your future when it comes to the ETH cryptocurrency. That being said, this is never financial advice. I'm just here to help you out. So make sure you do your own research. And if you have any questions, drop it down below. Super excited to bring you guys the end of the week video next tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that. I bring these videos in short format, as you know, as concise as I can every single day to make sure you guys are up to date. And I will be planning on doing a live stream again this weekend to cover any sort of crazy price action that we might see. So that being said, I appreciate your time tuning in as always, and Ethereal, keep it real.